With that, we're going to conclude the question and answer portion of our format today. And again, per the agreed format, now Mr. Michael Reininger will have a 3-minute summary.
What I was hopeful to communicate today through this forum is our continued commitment and our continued desire to have productive dialogue around the important issues that you have and the important questions specifically that you have related to the introduction of our business onto our corridor. And to the extent that those issues have to do with things like safety and traffic congestion and those kinds of things, we continue to want to have open, positive, and constructive dialogue around those issues, because we think that the result of the enormous energy and resources that we put into studying those problems and devising specific solutions to those issues will help you understand more fully and allay whatever anxieties and fears that you may have about the consequential effects of the introduction of this new business. I hope that those kinds of discussions don't get clouded in other issues that continue to be raised without sort of conclusion or open dialogue. I remain confused as to the position that we've heard taken today about the funding of our program. Whether you call it a subsidy or a loan, I sort of don't understand the difference. I'm unclear as to whether the position is that we here in Florida should not benefit from the incentives that this program was designed to provide, and that we are somehow saying that we're fine with those benefits of that existing program going to Texas or California or New York or Illinois, or if what we're really saying is we just don't want all aboard Florida to avail themselves of those benefits. Either of those two positions seems to me to be a wrong-headed approach. The simple fact of the matter is that private sector entities and the public sector engage with one another all the time. And by definition, there are actions that are taken by governments and public sector entities every single day, including those actions which Mr. Solari himself participates in, that have the consequential effect of producing some sort of benefit to a private sector entity. Whether that's a tax abatement, whether that's a grant request for providing funding to transportation systems, an issue that has locally been voted on. Mr. Solari participated in that vote and agreed that that was something that you should do here in Indian River County, or a few other examples that are in fact the normal course of business in any location. Those things really happen. In this particular case, what we're saying is there is an existing program. It is designed specifically to do what we're asking to have it do. The question on the table is, does anyone think that we somehow don't qualify for that assistance? And if we do qualify for that assistance, why shouldn't we be benefited by it? In the same way that anybody else in this country that applies for and is eligible for that assistance will receive that assistance. And we should not cloud the realities and the issues that we want to talk about, which are the consequential effects of our system, including the many positive benefits that come out of this system in the form of jobs and revenues and opportunities to solve existing problems because of a position around how the project in fact gets funded. And so with that, I want to again very quickly thank you all for the opportunity to be here before you and your continued interest in this project as it begins to come forward with the institution of our second phase of the project. Thank you all very much.
Commissioner Solari, it's now your time to summarize.
Based on Mr. Reininger's comments, I really don't think he heard a lot of what I was saying for the past hour. But the people from Fortress and all aboard Florida did not seem to understand something that our founders understood very well, and that the people on the Treasure Coast understand. For American democracy to flourish, virtue is necessary. We understand this. Many companies understand this. Many companies have value statements. These value statements reflect their understanding that while maximization of shareholder wealth is a value, and a value which generally I applaud, by the way, despite Mr. Reininger's comments, It is not the only value, or even the most important value that ought to guide a company. Johnson & Johnson is one such company. I came across its value statement when doing an ethics paper for my Master's in Business Administration back in 1987. The J&J value statement is called Our Credo. I recently checked to see if they follow the same set of beliefs. They do. It is prominent on their website and is word for word the same as it was in 1987. In fact, Our Credo has guided Johnson & Johnson since crafted by Robert Wood Johnson in 1943. I'd like to read one paragraph. We are responsible to the communities in which we live and work, and to the world community as well. We must be good citizens and support good works and charities and bear our fair share of taxes. We must encourage civic improvements and better health and education. We must maintain good order over the property we are privileged to use, protecting the environment and natural resources. J&J understands that values are important and that virtue is necessary for a flourishing democracy. Yesterday, I searched the Fortress Investment Group and all aboard Florida websites for the value statement. I could not find one. During this whole process, I have seen only one driving force behind all aboard Florida, the maximization of shareholder wealth. Fortress is filled with a lot of bright, hard-working people who want to get rich. I understand this. I understand what Gordon Gekko meant when he said, greed is good. Greed is a value. It can motivate. It can, at least in the short term, build companies. Greed is good. It built a $64 billion global investment manager, Fortress Investment Group. It has brought us all aboard Florida. Greed is good. It is a value. But it is not a virtue. It does not build better lives. It cannot build better communities. I do not believe that all aboard Florida will be welcome in the Treasure Coast until the leadership of the Fortress companies understand that while maximization of shareholder wealth is a fine thing, in 21st century America, it must be tempered by virtue. A virtue which, so far, has been sorely lacking by their approach to the project along the Treasure Coast. Thank you.
Before we conclude, first of all, on behalf of the Taxpayers Association, again, I would like to thank both Mr. Michael Reininger and Commissioner Bob Solari for attending and speaking to us today. I sincerely hope that all of you here and those listening on the radio at home found this to be an open, honest, and civil discussion of the issue, and we appreciate you both doing that today. So thank you again for that. It's our desire that everybody leaves here hopefully with more information than which they came, and we hope that has been achieved. On that note, again, thank you. And before I conclude, I'd like to also give a brief public information announcement that tonight at 7 p.m. at the Republican Executive Committee meeting at the Elks Lodge, there will be State Senator Joe Negron speaking, along with candidate Brandon Cannon. So anybody that's able to attend that event, we welcome them to join that as well. Okay? So with that, again, thank you all very much for turning out today, and we appreciate your support. Thank you.